Joining us now to talk about what's going on in our West Bloomfield community is Township Supervisor for West Bloomfield, Steve Kaplan. Steve, thanks so much for joining us again today. There, we can hear you a little bit, Steve.
Sorry, can you hear me now?
Yes, there we go. Perfect.
I'm sorry, Maddie. Technology.
Technology is the worst sometimes, Steve.
You mentioned Joe Ketchum, who had worked for the Parks Commission for 30 years, and any of our residents, former or current, who had dealings with the Parks Commission knew Joe Ketchum, and he was just a superb employee. And your recognition of him is well-deserved. I was thinking about him, that he worked for the Parks Commission for 10,950 days and 1,500 weeks. So he certainly contributed. And what is not well known about him is he could have been a great athlete, because on the football field, you wouldn't be able to catch him.
That is a great one, and I believe so. I believe that fact about him. And he was a great asset to our community, and it makes sense that we recognize him here. And Steve, something that I wanted to start off talking about with you is the State of the Communities address that you joined us for a couple of weeks back. I just wanted to run through that with you and talk about how important it is and the information that you shared in the community to address. Can you just talk a little bit about how important it is for residents of West Bloomfield to check that out and maybe highlight some of the things that you addressed there?
Sure. Well, Civic Senate TV has spearheaded the State of the Township, State of the City. So as you know, with 36 square miles in our area, also including Keego Harbor, Orchard Lake, and Sylvan Lake, when residents hear a summary of what had occurred in the previous year, I think it makes them feel even prouder of living in this area, any of the four communities, because the resident then knows, if the resident doesn't attend the meetings, as to what has happened, what developments are there, what environmental protections are in place. And it's good educational vehicle for our residents and our employees.
And then Steve, some updates in our West Bloomfield community. As we are heading into spring, it's still pretty cold out today, but we're looking into the spring and the summertime now. You guys are having some waste hauling through GFL. Could you tell us a little bit about some of the different opportunities and things that GFL has in our community, including yard waste and some of those bulk items that they can take for you?
Thank you. GFL has been our single mandatory waste hauler since 2016. Preceding GFL was Rizzo, and as you know, the Rizzo Corporation had some difficulties with two of their leaders being banished to prison for soliciting bribes. The account was taken over by GFL. Before that, there was Richfield, Allied, and other companies. So what you might find interesting is in 2009, the Township Board, and I was a member, we had received criticisms and complaints from residents about the fact that there were 6 different waste hauling companies serving West Bloomfield, which meant that you, Maddie, as a resident, you would contact on your own any of the 6 companies and reach an agreement with them as to the price and the services. Well, what did that mean? It meant on 4 days per week, there would be 6 different trucks on the road, and our community is very environmentally sensitive, and obviously that's not favorable for pollution, for damage to the road, for traffic jams. And therefore, in 2009, it's been 13 years, our township, along with many other townships in the community, is a single waste hauler, which means that a resident can hire his or her own waste hauling company at about $250 per year, but would also have to pay for the single mandatory waste hauling services of GFL. And we receive perhaps 6 calls per year from residents who are irked that they have no choice in selecting their own waste hauler, but actually they can if they want to pay both fees. Well, none of that is really very interesting. What is interesting is GFL and the township. So the township, we act as the conduit or the intermediary for our residents, and the township board and staff have gained some concessions from GFL. Among them there's a snowbird rate. A resident who will be outside of West Bloomfield for 30 days or more continuously, all the way to 6 months continuously, will not pay for services for that month or for those 6 months or for the 3 months. Secondly, there are residents who own 2 homes in West Bloomfield, maybe a small cottage off of Union Lake Road, and also the main home. And if garbage services are not utilized at the second or smaller home, then the resident, Maddie, is only charged for one fee and not two fees.
And then, Steve, could we talk a little bit too about the GFL senior discounts, as well as if you have any residents who are struggling maybe to figure out how to pay their GFL bill, how you guys are assisting residents with those billing disputes?
Well, this year, actually, it's April 1 through March 31, but calling it a yearly bill, the price did increase by 4%, and we did our best in encouraging GFL to maintain the rates. But a senior, Maddie, who pays in full, so the full rate is $244.32. But a senior paying in full by April 15th, that rate is discounted all the way to $213.48, which is $4 per month. And obviously, we would like the rate to be lower. But if you compare that rate to other communities, it's a very reasonable price through GFL. For a non-senior, a rate of $225.48 if payment is made in full by April 15th.
And then, Steve, coming up next Saturday, you guys have the Household Hazardous Waste Day. Can you talk a little bit about some of the different items that residents here in West Bloomfield can drop off to discard at Town Hall?
Sure. So household hazardous waste is overseen in part by GFL, and they're paying for it. It's about $90,000 per year for our 2 household hazardous waste days. And as you said, it's next week. It's April 9th, Saturday, between 9 and noon. And for our seniors, 62 and older, they can stop by on Friday, April 8th, between 4 and 6. So we accept everything you can imagine. It's electronics, batteries, fluid, bulbs, medication, large appliances, anything that the resident does not want to have buried in a landfill. So not every resident is concerned about the environment and the ecology, but many of them are. And some people move to West Bloomfield because of the environmental aspects. But this way, these items are not ending up in a landfill. Shredding, as you know, we've separated shredding from the Household Hazardous Waste Day because we found that 40% of our residents only are here for shredding. And for them to wait in line, Maddie, for an hour, even up to 2 hours, is not fair to them. So the shredding dates are April 23rd and September 24th. Those are Saturdays, also 9 to noon. And for our seniors, they could stop by on the preceding Friday between 4 and 6 p.m. And senior means 62 years of age or older. And so, Maddie, you're not even halfway there.
Well, thank you, Steve. And it's always a pleasure to have you on The Splash. We appreciate you joining us this morning.
Thank you for inviting me. Have a great week.